Know-it-alls might be annoying, but they're also useful. Hi, this is Colin Flaherty with Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. Here we talk about racial violence, black mob violence, black on white crime, racial hostility of all kinds, all without racism, without rancor, and without apologies. The know-it-all I'm thinking of, his name was Scott Barnett, and I've known him for a very long time, and for a good 4 years, maybe 8 years, I lost track of him then. He was a member of the San Diego Unified School District Board. He was a school board member, huge district. Scott knew everything about every federal program, every state program, every local program from 27 different angles. So when I started working on my book, Don't Make the Black Kids Angry, I knew I was going to be doing a lot of material about what kids learn in school, how kids in school, black and white, are learning that black people are relentless victims of relentless white racism all the time, everywhere, and that explains everything. There's a guy named Glenn Singleton. He has a company. They go around, they teach this stuff in hundreds and hundreds of school districts. It ends up in tens of thousands of schools. We're going to see one in a minute. But anyway, so I went to Scott. So I saw that Scott's district was using Glenn Singleton's materials called Courageous Conversations. So the courageous part comes from this. So you're a new teacher. Maybe you're out of college a year or two. You're young, you're white, you're female. You're in a classroom with these people who teach teachers, Glenn Singleton's people. They tell you that they need to have a courageous conversation with you because you have to be courageous enough to admit that you are a racist and that your racism is responsible for this enormous amount of disparity between white children and black children, and it basically makes you unfit to teach black children in public schools or private schools. That's a courageous conversation. I've read the book a couple times. You want to check it out yourself. So I asked Scott about this. I asked Scott Barnett. I said, Scott, what's up with courageous conversations? They're teaching it in your school. I know because Glenn Singleton brags about it in his book and in other places. You're like his big show-off client. You're on the school board, Scott. So what's up with that? Scott writes back. He goes, Colin, I don't know. That's all about curriculum. That's not my area of expertise. So I don't mean to beat up on Scott here, but the fact is there's a lot of parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors, friends that don't have any idea the kind of stuff their kids, their friends, relatives are learning in school. This racial hostility, racial resentment, institutional resentment is being taught in thousands and thousands of schools around the country by Glenn Singleton and others. I document the hell out of this in the Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. A lot of places they adopt it with enthusiasm. Other places they adopt it, and once they figure out what's in it, they kick it out. But this teacher, but that's what we're leading up to here is this teacher in Florida who kind of like gives you a really concentrated dose of this racial hostility, racial resentment, basically making stuff up about white history, black history, Asian history, dripping with venom with a nice smile on it. And so why don't we take a look at that video? Then we're going to go right into the video of a preacher talking about something also crazy. But then why don't we go to an audio clip of a very famous person who made a huge discovery, the crazy stuff her daughter was learning in a very Tony private school in Chicago.
Every student here knew about the YouTube video that originally surfaced on those conservative blogs. The whole thing goes on for about 5 minutes. Here's just a little bit of the clip.
What is the scientific and systematic approach to destroying black civilization?
It starts with a question, but the voice captured in the video, supposedly posted by an anonymous Royal Palm Beach high school student last week, goes on to talk about black deities and gentrification.
You don't see soul food restaurants open up in Chinese neighborhoods, you know what I mean? Asian communities, no. You understand? But what do you see in the black community reaping economically the benefits of their dollars? Everybody but them, right?
The anonymous poster claims the voice is teacher Ezekiel Edmonds, and the setting is science class. I talked to students standing in support of the educator who say he's well liked.
We were doing a blackout for him, and he is the reason why I'm still in school and motivated.
It's not like we never opened up the science book. I got science done in there, but he taught me way better things that school doesn't teach.
What is the scientific and systematic approach to destroying black civilization? Chancellor Williams wrote a book on it, The Destruction of the Black Civilization. One aspect of it is gentrification. Have y'all ever heard of gentrification? But you know it. It's the forced migration of the people of color. Didn't you all just witness that? How? Oh, you may not have processed it, but maybe your families have been displaced. Right? Like you see the black communities, they move them, right? To keep them from having any stability, economic stability, like they did in Nazi Germany when they created the ghettos. They kept the Jewish people from establishing economic stability. That's why they called it a ghetto, because it means a place where the people can't establish economic stability, because there's a systematic approach to keeping them locked out of the economics in their own community. Yeah. Where else have you seen a community where everyone benefits from the economics in the community, but the black people in the community? You never seen that. You don't see soul food restaurants open up in Chinese neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Asian communities, no. You understand? But who do you see in the black community reaping economically the benefits of their dollars? Everybody but them, right? You can't find it anywhere else. Matter of fact, you can't find anywhere else where you have a group of people, unless you go back to Europe is not ancient. There's no ancient Europe, so it's so young it can't be ancient. There's no ancient. You know what I mean? If you go back to antiquity, you may see Europeans, or what you affectionately call now whites, because they didn't refer to themselves as white. That was later on. You know, they used like different, regions that you were born in, and places that that's how they classified you. But they were worshiping statues and gods and deities that were not of their origin. They were worshiping black deities and black gods and things of that nature. They still do that in Europe, It wasn't until Constantine II commissioned Michelangelo to change the images of the Bible from black to white. The Holy Family wanted to be, white. And, there was no representation of a white Holy Family. Who were we going to choose? So who did he get? He got his cousin to sit in for the portrait. And then he went down to a local jail, and then there was some prisoners available, and he used them for the Last Supper to paint the picture. Isn't that great? Like, don't believe me. Never believe what I say to you over here. Always do your research. And you can trust that I've done mine, so, that's a good thing, because I want you to be solid. But the systematic approach is just that. It's a systematic and scientific approach. How do you destroy somebody? When Africans came to this soil, when they came here, they had what type of names?
If white communities were policed in the same way black communities were policed, you'd have a high rate of crime in white communities too.
Do you remember Julia Sweeney from Saturday Night Live? She was the one who played the Pat character. Remember the androgynous character? We couldn't figure out if there was a man or a woman. Anyway, so she kind of retired from doing the whole, at least stand-up and comedy thing. Now she writes books. And let's hear Pat talk to the ever so careful host of an NPR show in New York.
The school tries to teach not to be racist, but in doing so, they introduce for the first time the concept of race.
Right.
So,
yes, they end up teaching racism. Well, for Mulan, it really just lasted a minute, but Mulan came home from school. She's at a complete multicultural school, all races. It's like a Benetton ad, the school. And she never even notices race. She never has ever described somebody regarding race.
Right.
So she comes home and says, Mom, we're learning about Martin Luther King Day. Did you know that there are some people with really dark skin who are called black people, and that a lot of those people came here as slaves? And I go, yes, I did know that. Isn't that terrible? And she goes, and did you know that some people don't like people who are like that, and they discriminate against them and even do terrible things to them? And I said, yes, I know. That's terrible. And she goes, oh, so glad I'm not black. And I go, oh my God. So then I'm like,
wrong conclusion.
There's so much stuff about schools and don't make the black kids angry. There's stuff about black kids attacking teachers. There's stuff about black kids attacking each other and large episodes of black mob violence in the class, outside of the class, on the school bus, in the hallways, in the parking lots. All this is on video. You can get real easy. Just wave your smartphone with your QR coded thing over it, and boom, you're looking at it. The thing that is really the craziest to me is what the kids are learning in class about racial hostility, racial resentment, how black people should not like white people. They're teaching them all this crazy stuff. It's killing them, destroying their ability to learn, destroying their ability to finally get a job somewhere. Think about that the next time on this channel you see one of these crazy videos at a supermarket or a mall or a school or the streets. This is Colin Flaherty with Don't Make the Black Kids Angry. Talk to you.